Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhetamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamai. Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranaschakshushrotramatho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahmopanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Ma Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranamastu Anirakaranam Me Astu Tadatmani Nirateya Upanishatsu Dharmaha Te mai santo, te mai santo. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Right? So we are in Chandogya Upanishad, the 6th chapter, and where we left off was the 9th section. So what was pointed out in the 9th section, that these an explanation of existence or sat, right? And how we arrived at that is because in the 8th section, Uddālaka Ṛṣī told Śvetaketu, that tvam asi, that great mahāvākya, that thou art. And that upon where you go to sleep, and where you lose your individuality, your own name, etc., your own form. What happens when you go to sleep? You actually merge into Sat. You actually merge into your own self. And that self which is limitless, that self which has no boundaries of time, of space, of any object, that Sat, that is you, Śvetaketu. So that Sat in deep sleep where we merge, that is you, means that is the essence of you. On death, where we merge into that Sat, that existence, that is you, Śvetaketu. The root of all hunger, thirst, of all of these elements that appear in this world, that root is you. And so Śvetaketu asks a question and says, how is it that we don't know we're merging into Sat? How is it that we don't know every night when we go to sleep that we're merging in that absolute pure existence? So in section 9, Uddālaka Ṛṣī gives an example of the honeybees. Just like these bees, they go to different flowers to collect this pollen. They go and they collect this pollen, and then when it comes into their stomach through a certain process, it becomes honey. And they all gather it from different flowers, and they come together and they make this one homogeneous honey. And in that one homogeneous honey that is created, that juice doesn't know that I came from this flower, or I came from that flower, I came from this flower. Nobody knows. It is just one compact honey that all the juice merged into. In the same way, when we go to sleep, we lose all of our individuality and we merge into that one homogeneous Sat. And we don't know. We don't know about our individuality. We completely lose it and we merge. So like the bees, that juice doesn't know which flower it came from. It just merges into that one honey, the same way we do in Sat. And he gives this example. And so here, when we talk about Sat or pure existence, what are we trying to say? That by going into which people don't remember who they were, that Sat or that pure existence, I am. So that merging into which, going into which we don't remember who we are, that is pure existence. So Sat is our destination point. And all of us strive for this destination, knowing it or not knowing it. See, what happens in life is we always let go of the lower for the higher. So I'll give you an example. We let go, let us say we're eating something really lovely, really nice, and we want, let's say, another piece of it, but our friend comes. So we let go of that piece of cake or chocolate and give it to our friend. We let go of that because we value our friend much more than this piece of cake, right? And why do we value our friend much more? Because our friend may give us a higher degree of happiness. We can let go of, let's say, watching a show for our child or our spouse, right? We could just let it go. Why? Because we value our child or our spouse much more. And that child or spouse will give us more happiness. So we are always letting go of something lower for that which gives us more happiness. We let go of, all of this comfort of a home to go out in the forest and woods and stay there maybe for a week. People do that, right? We're letting go of these comforts because we want to experience something higher that gives us more joy. Now think about this. In deep sleep, we let go of everybody. We let go of everybody. We let go of everybody. We let go of everything, no matter how important, how much we love that person, how close that person is to us. We let go of everything for the sake of deep sleep, which means that for us, it is something higher, meaning it gives us more happiness, because we will only let go of something lower if that higher gives us happiness. So why is it that we let go of everything for deep sleep? Because it gives us happiness, because in it we merge into the self, in Sat. So that destination point, our destination point is Sat. And we go into it without knowing. And therefore, in section 9, it says, when we wake up the same way. Our individuality is still there. So a tiger will wake up as a tiger. A lion will wake up as a lion. A wolf will wake up as a wolf. A tiger will not wake up as a wolf. Right? We will go to sleep and come back the same way, because when we went to sleep, we were still in the spell of ignorance. Means we didn't know, and therefore we come back again still ignorant. And so that is the idea of section 9. That's Sat, where we merge into not knowing who we are. That you are. Tvam asi. Now we will come into section 10. Now section 10, the idea of section 10 is that Sat coming from where you don't know who you are, that you are, that thou art. So we'll see the example. Śvetaketu asks this question. If Sat, if this existence is our origin, how come we don't know it? How come we don't know our origin? When people travel, let us say they're staying in one place, this is their home, and they travel to other places, they know I have to go home. If I'm in New York and I have to travel, let's say somewhere in India, and I have to go for a few weeks, which I will go, I know that New York is my home. I know my origin. I'm so clear about it. But why is it that we don't know our origin as Sat? or pure existence? So this is Śvetaketu's question, and this is Uddālaka Ṛṣī's answer. Section 10, mantra number 1. Imaha somya nadyah purastat prachyah syandante paschat pratīchyah taha samudrat samudram eva apiyanti sasamudra eva bhavati taha yatha tatra na viduhu iyam aham asmi iti iyam aham asmi iti. So here he says imaha somya nadyaha. So remember, Somya is the name of Śvetaketu. These rivers, imaha nadyaha, these rivers, purastat prachyah syandante, means the eastern ones, prachyah, they flow, syandante, purastat, to the east. Paschat pratīchyah, the western ones, they flow to the west. Taha samudram eva apiyanti. So they rise, samudram eva apiyanti. They rise from the ocean, samudrat, and then samudram eva apiyanti. They dissolve into the ocean. Sasamudra eva bhavati. They become one with the ocean, or it becomes one with the ocean. And taha, they, just as they don't know there that yam aham asmi, that I am this river, So here he says, let us read the second mantra, then we'll take it together. Evameva khalu somya, imaha sarvaha prajaha, sata agamya na viduhu satah agacchamahe iti ta iha vyagro va simho va vriko va varaho va ta iha vyagro va simho va vriko va varaho va Kito va patango va damsho va mashako va Kito va patango va damsho va mashako va Yadyad bhavanti tad abhavanti Yadyad bhavanti tad abhavanti. So he says here, Evameva khalu somya. In the same way, O Śvetaketu, imaha sarvaha prajaha. All of these people, sata agamya, coming from existence, na viduhu, they don't know, sata agacchamahe, I came from existence. And so, when they come from existence, they go back, right? So just as the tiger, vyagraha, the tiger, simha, the lion, vrikaha, the fox, varaha, the boar, kita, the worm, patanga, the moth, and damsha, the insect, and mashaka, the mosquito, whatever they were, they are that. So I'll read the translation, then I'll explain. These eastern rivers, dear boy, flow along to the east and western ones to the west. They rise from the ocean and merge in the ocean and become that ocean itself. And there, as these rivers do not know themselves, I am this river. I am this river. Even so, dear boy, all these creatures having come from existence do not know we have come from existence. And whatever these creatures were here, a tiger, lion, wolf, boar, worm, flying insect, or gnat, or mosquito, they become that again. So here, now it's saying that when we have come from Sat, we don't realize it, just like when the rivers, they come from the ocean, they don't understand that I am this river, I am that river, I am this river. The rivers, they don't understand that they don't get that they came from this ocean, right? Just like we don't get that we have come from Sat, the rivers don't get that they came from the ocean. They don't know that I came from this ocean, I came from the ocean. They don't have such knowledge. And so here, what happens is the rivers, they lose their individuality in the ocean. So from the ocean, they arise. So first of all, there's no individuality. Then all of a sudden, what happens is the water evaporates, and then it makes the clouds, and then it makes the rains, and then the rivers flow. So then there's individuality. So they come from this ocean of existence, and then there's individuality, and then again they flow only to come back to the ocean. So we are in the same way. We come from this ocean of existence, but slowly, it is like our individuality becomes hardened. It is like that from that pure water, we become like this ice of an ego almost. And because we become like this ego, then we think that we are this ice. We forget that we are this water. And eventually that ice again merges into water. So here, one point to reflect on is we're always looking for our origin, right? The first question that people ask after they ask, what's your name? They ask, oh, where are you from? Right? People are always trying to find out, where is that person from? Where do they come from? This is a question lingering in their mind. And we try to find out, okay, where are you from? Are you from America? But where in America? Okay, we're from New York City. Okay, but where in New York City? Which borough are you from? Okay, but where in that neighborhood? And we like to keep pinpointing to trace where that person is from. Where are you from? But instead of asking, where are you from? The greater question to ask is, where are you? You meaning, where did this concept you come from? Right? Where did this concept you come from? Where did this concept I come from? Because if we trace that, then we will know that this you or I, that alone is a false, illusory appearance. The origin of that word you or concept you, or the origin of that concept I, that alone is the Sat. That is existence. So the origin of our individuality, the origin of our personality, the origin of that is Sat. So instead of asking, where are you from? Ask, where are you? And that's why one of Bhagavan Ramana Maharshiji's meditation techniques is just ask, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Right? It's that self-inquiry. Just keep going and going and going into the origin. Where is my origin? And if we keep tracing ourselves back to the origin, that is Sat. We go in the reverse order of creation. Creation is from the subtlest to the gross. The subtlest, from that Sat through Maya, space, air, water, space, air, fire, water, earth. When we meditate, we go from the gross to the subtlest. So when we sit down, and I was explaining this in the Bhagavad Gita class, we go from first relaxing our body. So we let go of the body. Then we focus on our breath. So then we let go of our breath. So first is the food sheath, Annamaya Kosha. Then the Pranamaya Kosha, vital air. Then we focus on Guru or Bhagavan. That is the mental sheath, emotional sheath. Then we let go of that. Then we focus on the intellectual sheath, the Vijnanamaya Kosha, and we contemplate just on that knowledge. Then we focus on that silence. That is Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss sheath. And the observer of that silence, that you are. So when we trace our origin, that Sat is you. That's what he's trying to say. And one more point about the rivers. This is a very beautiful example, because in Sanatana Dharma, there are these places that are called Prayag. Prayag means confluence. They're places where rivers meet together. And these places are very, very holy, because it symbolizes that the rivers are now meeting together. And you can actually see their difference. Like you will see one color is darker, one color is, brighter. You will see their difference. But why this is worshipped is because the rivers now are merging together to lose their identity completely in the ocean. So wherever there is a point of confluence, it is getting ready to give up its name, its form, its color, its properties. It's getting ready to give up its individuality and merge into the ocean. And that's why that those places are worshipped. So that Sat, that is the point of our origin, coming from where people don't remember, like coming from where the rivers don't remember, that Sat is you. But we still come out because we don't know our point of origin, we come out as we are, right? So let us read the next, the mantra, the third mantra, where he will say, that Sat is you. Mantra number 3. Saya esho anima, aitadatmyamidam sarvam, tat satyam sa atma, tattvamasi Śvetaketu iti, bhuya eva ma bhagavan vignapayat viti, tatha somyeti hovacha. So again, Uddālaka Ṛṣī says that eshaha, that animna, which is so subtle, aitadatmyam idam sarvam, that which is the self of all beings, tat satyam, that Sat, that origin, sa atma, that is you, that is your essence. Tvam, that thou art, O Śvetaketu. And obviously, what does Śvetaketu say? He says, oh, please repeat it again, because I didn't get it. I still have doubts. So this is the third time. See how Uddālaka Ṛṣī is so patient. He keeps repeating and repeating and repeating with so many different examples. So now, Uddālaka Ṛṣī is going to give another example, and we're entering into the 11th section. Where's Śvetaketu? What's his question? He says, look, you gave me the example of the river, the ocean, okay? But in this ocean, you have the waves, you have the bubble, you have the froth, all of them come up, they merge from that ocean and they withdraw again into this ocean. But what about this jiva? What about this jiva? This person, this tiger comes back as a tiger. This lion comes back as a lion. This boar comes back as a boar. Right? Does that jiva always continue? Does that jiva, like, when is this jiva gonna know? When is this jiva gonna realize? Why does that jiva have to keep continuing? So now Uddālaka Ṛṣī is going to explain this whole concept, right? So this is the 11th section, mantra number 1. Asya somya mahato vrikshasya Yo mule abhyahanyat. Yo mule abhyahanyat. Jivan sravet. Jivan sravet. Yo madhye abhyahanyat. Yo madhye abhyahanyat. Jivan sravet. Jivan sravet. Yo agre abhyahanyat. Yo agre abhyahanyat. Jivan sravet. Jivan sravet. Sa eshaha jivena. Sa eshaha jivena. Atmana anuprabhutaha. Atmana anuprabhutaha. Tepiyamanaha. Tepiyamanaha. Modamanastishtati. Modamanastishtati. So he says here, now, what is the next example? So we've seen the example of honeybees and honey and the river and ocean. Now, a tree. Uddālaka Ṛṣī says, do you see this tree? Yeah, there's a tree in front of him. So he says, do you see this tree? Asya Somya is the name of Śvetaketu. Asya Somya mahataha vrikshasya. Of this big tree that you see in front of you, yaha mule abhya hanyat, means when this tree, right, if somebody were to strike it, abhya hanyat, in the root, someone were to strike it in the root, jivan sravet, still living, it would exude some sap. There would be some sap coming out. If somebody were to strike it in the middle, yo madhye abhyahanyat, jivan sravet, living, still there would be some sap coming out. Yo agre abhyahanyat, if someone were to strike it in the top, still there would be some sap coming out. Jivan sravet. Sa eshaha. So this tree, eshaha jivena atmana anuprabhutaha. This tree is pervaded by that self. Pepiyamanaha. It's drinking constantly. It's drinking the juice from the ground. Modamanaha tishtati. And it stands rejoicing. Now, when we see the tree, it stands rejoicing. So, of this large tree, dear boy, if anyone were to strike at the root, it would exude sap. Though still living, if anyone were to strike it in the middle, it would exude sap. Though still living. If anyone were to strike it at the top, it would exude sap. Though still living. As that tree is pervaded by the living self, it stands firm, drinking constantly and rejoicing. So what it's trying to say here is that jiva here means that individuality, that sense of individuality, that reflection, manifestation of consciousness within us, that doesn't die when the body dies. So when the body is, let us say, when something happens to the body, let us say if one part gets amputated or something, that jiva is still there. So that jiva is still there. And in the next mantra, it's also going to say that life in the body only, where the body is alive as long as that jiva or that subtle body is there. When that jiva withdraws from the body, then the body dies. When the jiva withdraws from the body dies, but that jiva continues again to another birth, again and again and again. That jiva continues to another birth, right? So the essence is this. We'll read the mantras, then we'll go into it a little deeper. The essence is, he's trying to say that when the body, the jiva is the essence of the body, the individuality is the essence of the body. And as long as the jiva is there, the body is alive. When that jiva withdraws, the body dies. But although the body dies, that jiva, that individuality still continues to another body and another body and another body. So it's almost like it's as though eternal, right? So let's read the next two mantras and this will become a little clearer. Asya yad ekam shakham jivo jahati Asya yad ekam shakham jivo jahati atasa shushyati dvitiyam jahati atasa shusyati tritiyam jahati atasa shusyati sarvam jahati sarva shushyati. So he says there, asya, of this tree, yad ekam shakham, if there's one branch, right? Jivaha jahati, if that individuality leaves one branch, yeah, leaves that branch or dries up that branch, lets go of that branch, sa shushyati, that branch will be very, very dry. It will become dried up. If that jiva leaves the second branch, right? Dvitiyam jahati, that jiva leaves the second branch, atasa shushyati, that branch will be dried up. Tritiyam jahati, if that jiva leaves the third branch, then atasa shushyati, it will dry up. Sarvam jahati, if that jiva leaves everything, sarvaha shushyati. So if that jiva leaves one branch of the tree, then the branch dries up. If it leaves the second one, then that dries up. If it leaves the third, then that dries up. If it leaves the whole tree, then the whole tree dries up. So when does this happen? When does this happen, or how does this happen? When the prarabdha karma is over, then that jiva, that sense of individuality, will leave the body, right? So, for example, a wonderful example they give is the SIM card and the cell phone. This is a modern example. First, I'll give you a modern example, and then I'll give you a Bhagavad Gita example. A SIM card, now they have eSIM. Now this is when they had those regular SIMs. There's a SIM card. See, jiva essentially is that reflection of consciousness in the mind. That's called jiva, reflection of consciousness in the mind, right? So what travels is that reflection of consciousness in the mind. They travel together. This is the jiva, travel together. And that is equated to like a SIM card, the SIM card. So in that SIM card, you have that reflection of consciousness, you have the mind. And with that mind, we have all of our deep impressions, our samskaras, deep impressions, deep things that really stayed with us. You have that set of impressions, and it's like this card. And so if you put it in a regular phone, right, then what happens is that jiva will express through that phone. That SIM card will express through that phone. Regular phone. Let's say it's like a Nokia flip phone. Yeah. So that might be maybe equivalent to a plant body, because it cannot express as much, think as much. And then if you take that same SIM card and you put it to maybe a little bit of a classier phone, it can be maybe an animal body that can express even more, that can think even more. Then you put that same SIM card into a very, very sophisticated, high quality phone. That could be a human body, right? So what is traveling is that SIM card, that jiva is moving from one phone to another, and it's carrying its bundle of memories and deep impressions. So that's why Adi Shankaracharya ji writes in the commentary very beautifully that, an infant just knows how to take milk from the mother. It just knows. And, any infant, a baby, a human baby or an animal baby, they just have that instinct that this is how we take milk. You can't really teach a baby much, right? Especially a newborn baby who's just come out of the the stomach, you can't really teach that baby what to do. But instinctively, that baby knows how to take milk from the mother. So through things like this, we're able to infer that, you know what, there was a past birth. And through also things like how some children just manifest certain tendencies that we may never have taught them. We may never have taught them maybe music, but they may be so musically inclined. We may never have taught them anything about spirituality, but they're just so spiritually inclined. So where did all of these come? So they came from these past impressions. This jiva, this sense of individuality. This is what travels from birth to birth to birth, right? And when we understand this, then these two flaws come out. The first flaw is having an effect without a cause, okay? Having an effect without a cause. If we don't postulate that there is a jiva, there is an individuality, subtle body, traveling from body to body, from life to life, then we will have this effect without any cause. Why do I have this kind of body? Why do I have this kind of mind? Why do you have this body? You have that mind. Why do we have these certain capabilities? How did it happen? Is it just random? So if we just say it's random, then anything can just happen. So the idea is, if we take it that there is a jiva, there's this law of karma, then there is an effect with a cause. I have this birth, I have this body because there is a prior cause. The second defect is the cause without an effect. So if we don't take it that there is a jiva, then I am doing so much of karma right now, and I won't reap the results of everything in this birth. So where will all those results go? So I'm doing all of these actions. I'm striving every day. I'm working every day. I'm meditating. I'm sitting. I'm doing all of this. But where will the results go if there is no next birth? Because all of the results can't possibly come in this birth. Because we know that results come at certain times, in certain ways. So when we understand now there is a jiva, then there is a cause with an effect. I don't get it in this birth, I'll get it in the next birth. So in this way, that sense of individuality within us is called that jiva. And even if the body dies, that jiva is still there and it takes up another body as per its karma and as per its deep, deep vasana or desires. Remember, I think we saw this last time, but every desire is a new birth. So if we say, I desire this, be careful, because that desire might be 25 years, right? I desire to build this great building. That might be 10 years of your life. So every desire is a new birth, a new birth. So now the question becomes, is this jiva ever going to die or what? Like, how long will this transmigration go on for? So let's read this next mantra. Mantra number 3. Evameva khalu somya, evameva khalu somya, vidhi iti, hovacha, jivapetam vavakila, idam mriyate, na jivo mriyate, iti. Saya esho anima, aitadatmyamidam sarvam tat satyam sa atma tattvamasi Śvetaketu iti. Aitadatmyamidam sarvam tat satyam sa atma tattvamasi Śvetaketu iti. Bhuya eva ma bhagavan vignapayat viti. Bhuya eva ma bhagavan vignapayat viti. Tatha somyeti hovacha. Tatha somyeti hovacha. So Uddālaka Ṛṣī says, evam eva means even so, vidhi, know this. Jiva apetam. Jiva apetam means when that body is left by that jiva, idam mriyate, the body dies, but jivaha na mriyate, but that jiva doesn't die. And therefore, he says that essence of that jiva is who you are. That essence of the jiva, which is sat, existence, that is who you are. So the father said, dear boy, know that even so, being left by the living self, this body surely dies. Living self here means jiva, but the living self or jiva does not die. That existence, which is the subtle essence that all this world has for itself, that is the truth. That is the Atman, that thou art, Śvetaketu. He says, please explain it again. So here, now the question is, this jiva, so you mean if this body dies, this jiva keeps staying, what do we do with this jiva? And why is this jiva there? Right? So again, the example that we saw last time is that anena jivena atmana anupravishya, which means, what is this jiva exactly? It is that reflection of consciousness, right? The reflection of consciousness in the mirror. So it's not like Atman entered or anything like that. Simply that there's a face here, there's a mirror here, and automatically there's a reflection. This reflection is called jiva. But there's a flaw in this example because the face is here and the mirror is here, right? What we're saying is Paramatman is here, it's inside. And the mirror is also inside. So just take note of it. Everything is already inside. When the reflection is inside, the mirror is inside. So the face resembles Paramatman, the mirror represents the mind, and the reflection represents jiva. And all of this is inside. All of this is inside. So that jiva is a mere reflection. It's a mere appearance. So whatever's there outside, you take it inside. Now, how do I sort of falsify this reflection? So first, let's look at the parampara. Parampara means lineage of the jiva. What fuels the jiva is these three things: avidya, kama, karma. Ignorance, desire, and action. These three things fuel the jiva. So if we are on this path to, let's say, negate this individuality, transcend this individuality, understand its falsity, how do we go about it? The first part is we have to go, so the lineage starts from ignorance, desire, action. So we have to go backwards, okay? We'll start from action. That action has to be converted to karma yoga. That karma has to be converted to karma yoga. So now I'll speak a little bit about karma yoga since I know there was a question about this. Karma yoga has two aspects, just 2 points. The 2 points are dedication and acceptance. Right? Dedication and acceptance. So karma yoga means that whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm dedicating it to the higher. And at first, people feel like it's only the sacred acts that we can dedicate to the higher. It's only when I am praying, when I'm doing my japa, when I'm reading something, when I'm in class studying, only these acts I can dedicate to the higher because they are sacred, they're spiritual. That is not true. Even the secular acts, even the act of eating, in the Bhagavad Gita, it's a yajna. It's a yajna. Even the act of eating, even the act of walking, the act of speaking, the act of driving, every single act, if we spiritualize it, if we divinize it, that is also karma yoga. It's not just these quote unquote spiritual acts that we do. It is making everything spiritual. That's karma yoga. It's not performing a spiritual act. It's making my whole entire life spiritual, whereby I dedicate everything to the higher being, to the higher power. If I find that a little bit strange, then dedicate it to oneness. I'm doing this because I really believe that the person in front of me is God, is a living God. And therefore, I am serving this person in this way, right? So I believe that, and so my actions will be very, very different. They will be different because they will be beyond selfishness. Whenever our acts are selfish, our individuality kicks in, and then inevitably it results in that whole thing of the more desire, anger, greed, pride, delusion, confusion, jealousy, all of that. It results in all of that because there's selfish seeds in my act. But when my act is selfless, it's towards the higher, then it doesn't result in this greed and pride and jealousy and all. It doesn't result in all of that because it's for something greater. It's not for me. Yeah? So the first part of karma yoga is really that dedication to a higher power, a higher being, and making that act as selfless as possible, seeing that to it that everyone benefits from it. Everyone is, including me, not excluding me, but including me. Everyone benefits from it. Everyone is sustained by it. Everyone is evolving in this act. Then the second part of karma yoga is that acceptance. So now whatever happens as a result of my selfless action, just accept. Accept without any insistence. Not that it should be this way or it should not be this way, or why did it come this way? Why not that way? Because we have no control over it. We have no control over what's going to happen, right? There's too many factors. There's weather, there's weather, there's other people, there's other circumstances, other situations. We really cannot control it. So it is just accepting whatever the outcome is and learning from that and growing from that, right? It might not always be something that I like, it might also be something that I don't like, but learning and growing with it. And then you might say, what is the result for a karma yogi? I mean, that's kind of a boring life if we just have to do without, insisting on any result. See, for a true karma yogi, the action itself is a result. So when, let us say, we take an act of, let us say an act of writing. Yeah? And in that act of writing, we completely lose ourselves in that act of writing. That it is such a tremendous joy that we lost ourselves in that. That in itself is the result. Because the process was so joyous, so that itself is my result. Now whatever happens, right? Because already in the process of the action, I lost myself in it. So then there is that beauty in the action. So whatever comes, okay, I'm not concerned because I already have my peace and my result. And that's why they ask that question, how do you know you've done your best in something? How do you know? You know because you were not there. When we lose ourselves in an action, then we know that it was the best possible action. Because there was no ego involved at all. It just flowed. And that action without ego means that it is the action of the divine. That is the best action. So converting that karma to karma yoga. Then we come here. The next issue we have is kama, or desire. What do we do with that desire? And that's where bhakti yoga is very helpful. And bhakti yoga has two aspects, which is sublimation and expansion. So bhakti yoga, or people also go to Ashtanga yoga. What tends to happen in bhakti yoga is people are given an ishta devata, a form of god or goddess to worship. Why? Because then that becomes our point of focus. And slowly, that's all that we desire. We stop desiring the world, the name, the fame, the people, all of that, the wealth, the things. We stop desiring all of that because our focus becomes so intent on that form of God or goddess that it sublimates all of those desires into the desire for that higher being. That's the power of bhakti, the power of nama japa, the power of calling out to God, is that all of those other desires, they just go. They just go. And all you see is that form of God. That's all you see. You can't really see anything else. So that's the first part, the sublimation of all desires. Then in bhakti yoga, there's also an expansion, because we begin to realize that this God that I'm worshiping is not just in that form. It's actually in all forms, in all names, in all beings. So we begin to look at everybody as that living God. In front of me is that living God as my father, my mother, my friend, my teacher, my sister, my brother. That is a living God for me. So that's the gift of bhakti yoga, is this sublimation and expansion. And when one has gone through karma yoga and bhakti yoga, then jnana yoga is a piece of cake. Because the mind is so ready. It's gotten rid of the mala or impurities through karma yoga. It's gotten rid of all the distractions through bhakti yoga. And now it is ready to turn inward into jnana yoga. And jnana yoga has two aspects. Two aspects are self-inquiry and abidance. Self-inquiry, what we call vichara, and abidance, what we call nishtha. Self-inquiry is exactly what we are doing. Process of shravanam, mananam, listening and reflecting. Listening and reflecting. Asking questions, clarifying doubts, thinking deeply, just going into it and flowing with it, inquiring. And that abidance is brought about by nididhyasana, contemplation, sitting quietly and reliving the teachings so that they settle in and percolate into our entire being. Through these three, so we go through karma yoga with dedication and acceptance. We move to bhakti yoga to develop the sublimation of desires and expansion. Come to jnana yoga through vichara, self-inquiry and abidance. And then these knots are broken. It's called hridaya granthi. The knots of the heart are broken. Ignorance, desire, action, they're all broken now. And then what happens? So when these knots are all broken, because the mind has been purified through karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and it inquired through jnana yoga, and it realized that, hey, I am actually that pure self Tat satyam sa atma. That sat is the self. Tat satyam sa atma. Tat tvamasi aham brahmasmi. I realize that I am the self. What happens? These three are broken. And when one acts in life, one desires in life, there is no more individuality. That individuality, that jiva is broken. It's broken. Jiva bhava is broken. And the desire that comes out of that being whose individuality is broken is a desire of God. It's always a desire for the benefit of all, the desire for goodness. And the action that comes out of that being is always as an instrument of God, the instrument of the higher power. So in this way, that jiva may continue, but it will be broken when we gain the knowledge of the self and abide in it. And how do we do that? By a deep, deep understanding that the essence of that jiva is Atma. That Satyam, that truth is Atma. That tvam asi. That is the message. But of course, Śvetaketu didn't get it. He didn't get it. And he said, no, no, no. I need to know more. What do you mean? Please explain further. Please explain further. And so Uddālaka Ṛṣī goes on again. And that we will see the next class. Okay? Just say the closing prayer. Om Purnamadaഃ Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.